from ground zero of the kangaroo apocalypse, right? It's your boy Son Cipher. I got my man. Yo, where did he go? I lost my man. See, I had a special guest. Let me see where he's at. Hold on, give me 1 minute. Yeah, so while my man get back in, I'm just gonna pontificate for a little bit. So yeah, we're back inside the house. This is Black Dot Chronicles. I am your man's Son Cipher, and it's been a long time, but I never left you. So I hope everybody's feeling well. Everybody's doing good. We're gonna get into some interesting conversation today. So I hope everybody's ready for that. I don't think we're gonna talk too much about crypto though, as normally. Normally, me and my man's Cosmic Kid, Asher L, Crypto Nate, NFT Jams, the whole crew will be in here breaking down some of that great crypto science, some of that DeFi science or whatever. But we're gonna go back to my roots, which is really researching and understanding and displaying the greatness of all the melanated people on the planet. Hence, Black Dot Chronicles. Now, I know if you in crypto, sometimes it's difficult to pay attention to anything else except for what's going on in crypto. But today we're gonna expand that horizon. I got my man back on. Parkway, you there? Oh, okay. But
I'm back,
Parkway.
sorry.
Yeah, no, you good. No, it's all good. I was filibustering and shit. So, ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, the man in the flesh, special guest Parkway from Parkway Productions, fellow Hexican, fellow investor, fellow, how could you say, archaeologist, anthropologist, antiquities researcher, and definitely I would say a freedom fighter. Did I miss anything, Parkway?
Appreciate it. It was actually more than it was overly decorated, but yeah, I'm just a regular human being that demands his rights. That's pretty much I think that's where we all went. And
The
yeah,
humbleness.
obviously history is definitely something that intrigues my fantasies, right? Like to see how the past was.
Yeah,
And yeah.
definitely. We both have that in common. Like besides crypto, I think probably we probably been knowing each other for about a year now. I can't even believe it's been that long just through the Hexican family and just connecting in these Twitter spaces. But
Very
one
true.
thing that definitely like made my ears perk up in one of these earlier spaces when we started talking about all of this antiquity stuff and ancient alien Nephilim and all the stuff like that. I've been spending most of
Hmm.
my adult life looking into that type of stuff. So um, we'll probably talk about that as well. But today, we have a more serious subject that we
Hmm.
definitely need to tackle. And I was saying to you, I've been probably for like the past month and a half, easily. I've noticed that you've been consistently posting. Well, just let's just before we get into that, let's just give the people your background first. Let's get into where you come from, where you at. You know what I'm saying, like your perspective
Sure.
politically and all that stuff like that.
Yeah, so I was born in the wrongest time on this planet, and in the wrongest country for that time. I was born during a regime change in Iran, and my father thought it would be best if I get raised abroad. So we moved to Austria, and yeah, so I grew up as someone that never belonged anywhere. And it was hard, right? Like, you grow up in Europe, you try to identify with people. You're having a hard time because they don't really identify with you because of whatever circumstances. I mean, that's at least like not everyone is bad, right? Like there are definitely good people out there, like lovely people,
Right.
welcoming people, but it's
Mm.
not the same as connecting with your own people and understanding your own culture, right? That was a like, because here's the thing: you go home, you got a different culture. You go to school, you got a different culture. When you're out in the street, you got a different culture, right? And yeah, so just putting it this way, being a person with an identity crisis, I thought I'm the only one, but apparently I'm not. It's over 80 million people have that issue.
Wow, that's amazing. Now,
Yeah.
how long were you in Austria, and why Austria? Was that like a refugee program, or
No, 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 no. We moved there as I don't know how it happened. No,
or not
I
like a
don't.
refugee, but like like a whenever there's war in countries,
I mean,
they allow
yeah.
certain migration.
So we moved to Austria, and the war broke out in Iran because after the revolution, like a few years later, Saddam Hussein at that time had decided that it would be an interesting move to invade the neighboring country. Anyway, so yeah, that's how I grew up, man. Like it wasn't fun, right? And just to dive into the material or the materia on what's happening. So as you mentioned them, yeah, I've been posting. I never was political. I never was in my life. Did I ever take any sides? That's how I was raised up. Don't mix yourself up. Politics doesn't have a mom or dad. Um, but don't just do your regular votings, the stuff that you need to do. But other than that, just don't get mixed up in things. That's how I
Right.
was raised. And yeah, for the first time in my life, I felt it as a duty to the people, to the country, to the history of that country, for what that country stands for all humans, right? Especially the women. The women in Iran, like they have been silenced since 43 years ago. They put a headscarf on them. They told them, you cannot do this. You can't. They've been told what to do. And
Yeah,
if you look
it's
back at
funny.
the,
Just to add a little color to that, I've just in researching certain things, I remember seeing photographs from Iran, women, I guess probably from the 70s. They're walking around in skirts and, modern clothing and, upperly mobile, getting, degrees and all of this stuff. So you talked about the regime change for the reason that you end up leaving Iran. Can you just speak more about that and how that changed the culture and society over the past 40 something years?
so I wasn't there um, before the time. I'm just like you. I saw pictures, I heard stories, and it's heartbreaking, right? Like especially when you're growing up, you look at things and you can't comprehend, and things are not being told the way maybe they should have been, right? In order to protect the family. So it's just like for Iranians, man, like it's settling right now. Right now, it's settling for a lot of people. It's like, yeah, this is our country. We have our own culture, and we don't want this anymore. This was enforced on us. We have no interest in it whatsoever. And that's
Now,
pretty much the message out there, right?
now, what was the background regarding this regime change? Was it something that was the will of the people, or were there outside forces that propagated that?
I think it was everything, man. It was everything. So the Shah of Iran at that time, he invested a lot into the country, a lot. We're speaking of international relationships, building the culture, and it was just too fast, right? It's like getting rich quick.
Right.
You know how people, how they act when they get rich quick? We can see it
Yeah.
in crypto all the time, right? They lose
Yeah.
their oversight. They lose on they lose the connection to ground themselves and to stay humble. And yeah, that's what happened to people back then, right? They had everything and they wanted more. They didn't understand that the rest of the world doesn't even have anything close to it. And yeah, so I don't know. I'm not a revolution expert per se, but yeah, so the people revolted. They went out. Then it turned into a firestorm. People thought, oh, great. Anyway, so the Shah then left. So the death count sits at 88 or something death numbers on that day, or I don't know. Altogether, I have no clue, man. There's so many numbers these days. All I know is right now in Iran, there are over 16,000 detained people for asking for freedom. They're being not treated nicely. They like CNN reported on it. It just it's disgusting. I cannot even bring it like into words. It's it's disgusting what they're doing. And I think the UN, the United Nations, they just had a sitting yesterday, I think, and it was pushed through Germany, and they're gonna do a research and collect evidence on what this regime is doing to its people.
Okay, so is this regime that's in now, is this like the descendants? I'm saying politically, this is the same regime that came in after the Shah.
Yeah, that's the regime that came in after the Shah. They came in and yeah, they're sitting here
So this
since
is
then.
so they came in with the support of the U.S. and the British
No, the
intelligence. Is that
people. So here's the thing. So they came in, they chose something, and there was a war. So all of a sudden you have a war, 8 years. So imagine the people right now in Iran are dying, right? Imagine they win, and then there's a war. Like how terrible is that,
mm,
right? Now they go to the war, and a lot of dead people come back, right? And they're protecting the borders because you got some crazy maniac next door that wants to roll in and take over oil fields and shit. Because he, you know, anyway. So that wasn't that was a big issue. That pretty much, you know, it was a lot of dead people, man. You know, and they're like, yo, you got to respect these people, and they did. The Iranian people did. All these years they did to the best of their abilities. Nobody's perfect, right? But they tried to play along, man. I think they just got to a point where people are just fed up. They're like, you know, no food. Everything is getting expensive. There's just they got the same issue like in the States. There's the 1%er and the 99% that have nothing.
okay? So this is it. It seems like over this 43 years, Iran has implemented the policies of I wouldn't even say the West because we've seen China do this. They're actually re you know uh, iterating their fascist policies right now in China.
Mhm.
But it seems that Iran is using the playbook of many, nations over history that have, gone about the business of massacring their people to maintain their control and their policies.
It's insane, man. They killed today. Iran won at the same time that we're killing people in Kurdistan and Zahedan. Like, it's insane. They're absolutely bananas in their heads. Like, I can't comprehend. Like,
Yeah,
nobody
so
was celebrating today. Like nobody was celebrating. No one in Iran was celebrating except the extremists, and that they were like a handful with guns, having the flag, you know, to their guns, riding on motorcycles. Like, how do you celebrate? Is that a celebration, man? Like, you know, and they're
so
celebrating on the people that they just killed. Like, there's so many, man. Like,
so and this is what I'm saying, like, and this is kind of what I want to get to, because if people pay attention to the mainstream media, you see that the West, spearheaded by America, has been sanctioning Iran and poking at Iran for the better part of seems like a decade now, but really longer than that. But I'm just saying in recent times, right? It seems like that's been going on, but we're not really paying, and that always gets the news headlines. We always hear about all of that nonsense. What Iran is doing, and that Iran has this. They're like developing nuclear data and yada yada yada, right? So, but what we don't hear about, except for on a lot of the underground media outlets, is what's going on between the government and the people, and what actually is happening over there. We don't get those chronicles. We don't see that documentation on these mainstream networks. They want to keep us in one particular frame of mind, around the boogeyman because of their nuclear proliferations and some of their connections to Russia,
yeah,
whoever. But this is something they don't want people to see because they all partake in this particular form of control. This is my entire point. Can you talk about that? Because I saw that you posted something regarding China and what they're doing to their people over there as well, and just that connection between, like, one thing, regardless if these nation states are fighting against each other, one
mhm.
thing they have in common and they unify with across the board, they all are fascistic. They're fascists when it comes to how they treat their people, and they will come
Talk
down
about
with a heavy
fascism.
hand. I'm sorry. Go
Talk
ahead.
about. I'm saying talk about fascism. Remember in that movie, what was it, Schindler's List,
Yeah, I didn't
where
see
they
that movie, but
oh,
go
you
ahead.
never did? Yeah,
No.
so it's you should see it. It's an interesting movie. So, um Schindler was a guy who saved a lot of Jews. So he had a list, and then from that list he tried to save everyone he could. And in that movie there's a scene where the Nazis come into the building with guns and they break into a home. They're people, never mind the religion or what the background is. They're human beings, right?
Mm.
So they kick in the door, they threaten, and they start executing and throwing people out the balcony or hijacking people in the streets. That's pretty much what's going on right now in Iran. Like,
Wow.
it's scary. Like, I'm telling you, like, the media is not showing stuff. It's very scary. I like it's so hard to be not with the people and seeing what's being done to them.
So, do you ever consider picking up and going over to be with the people?
To pick up and go over to be with the people. Uh, Consider, sure. Yeah, I did for sure, several times. My spouse doesn't let me, but yeah, It's crazy, man. You got obligations. Here's the thing. You got obligations. The people over there got obligations. They got families. And kids are being murdered there, man. It's actually young people out in the streets. It's not like parents. All these, like, I would say 90% of the people that are out in the streets, I don't know, 16, mid-20s max. And we had, like, I think the youngest one was 9 years old. No, we had an infant too, a pregnant mother that died with her child in her belly.
Wow.
Gunshot. Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's like easy peasy execution style in the middle of the street. You don't know if you're gonna be shot. It's randomly to just. It's insane. It's really like scary. It takes a lot to digest, right? It takes a lot to digest.
Yeah, definitely. And it just seems that and we were talking about this off wax, and then I've gone through your Twitter feed, just a few, not a lot, just to give the people some idea of actually what's happening right now on the streets as we casually, uncomfortably sit, in our perspective pads
Yeah,
and have this conversation. There's real shit going on in this world. And this is one thing that I noticed from the day that I came into the crypto game is that everybody is infatuated with net gains. And I can certainly understand that because this is like an investment vehicle when you're talking about crypto. But that always startled me because I saw that within crypto there were imposters and there was a Trojan horse that was being unraveled, and we literally seen it. And I came in 2020, May 2020. From then to now, I've seen it unravel even more, and people always get caught off guard because everybody's just infatuated with how many X's their bags are going to do. And one thing that we both agree upon that, because I was just lamenting, I've been paying attention at least for the past month and a half. I've seen you chronicle and document what's going on in the streets over in Iran, and just the participation or engagement that you receive from all of these tweets, like, stacked on top of each other, pale in comparison. If we were to tweet something about, Pulse Chain or Pulse X or which name your favorite crypto and some moon talk or whatever, and I think that's a real problem. And also, I think it's very funny to me that even in this community that we both partake in, Hex, there's a lot of talk about community and family and all this stuff like that or whatever. But whenever these real issues from family members in the community are put in front of the community, in front of the family, you know, in an effort to, if nothing else, educate. Nobody's asking for, woe is me, or, we don't want you to feel sorry for this plight, but we need for you to understand, even if you don't give a shit about Iran and the people there, even if you just look at this from a selfish perspective and understand that this is going to happen to you. Like, we've already seen flashes of this in America. I've seen flashes of this where I am in Australia. And anybody else who will be on this conversation for anywhere on the planet, they will see these same flashes. So my point is, yo, we got to wake up. People need to pay attention and really become proactive in other shit besides, fattening your wallets and getting your bags in a place where they need to be. Because the truth be told, it doesn't matter how big your bag is or how much zeros you have behind your bank account in your glass castle, because you're going to be prisoners. We all will be prisoners inside with all of this money that we can't do shit with because we have chosen to focus on something that ultimately is important, but there's a bigger game that's being played right now. So you got anything to say on that before I break out some of this audio?
Yeah, no, I mean, man, I came to the terms that, it's me and my people, dude. We don't I don't think anybody expects any help, but if it comes, we welcome it with open arms. It's been going on since 3 months, and yeah, I think everyone came to the term that yeah, there is no outside help really coming. So it's us and them, and it's do or die, bro. Like
Yeah, and that's
yeah,
not hyperbole. That's not hyperbole
but we're
when
talking
Parkway says it's
serious
do or
game
die.
here.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
about to show
so
some of this imagery, and we'll let Parkway narrate because he's gonna know way more than me. This is actually from Parkway's feed, so if you're not following Parkway, definitely go follow my bro. Not only is he's like a seasoned Mexican, he's in the production as well. Um, and like I said, if nothing else, I'm not asking, Parkway's not asking to get on board with this cause, but you need to be aware, you need to be educated and understand that this shit is coming for everybody. Just because you see this shit over here in some country that you think is far, far away from you, don't think that this shit ain't happening to us as well. So, with that, we're going to go into this first tweet, and I'll let Parkway do the narration on this. But, Parkway,
which one is this?
hold up. Sorry. So
Yeah,
Parkway, this is your tweet. It says the bravest woman in the world. You remember this tweet?
yeah, yeah.
So talk about this before I play this clip real quick. Who's the bravest woman in the world?
All the women in Iran are the bravest women in the world because you gotta go from this here, bro. Like this woman, this girl, Masa Amini, she didn't do anything wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. She got that. Here's the thing: we used to call it misused or abused or something. Dude, she got murdered. She was murdered from the day she was born with this regime by forcing her to wear something that she doesn't want to wear, and then have a punishment for it in some weird ass behaviors that comes with it. That's not anything godlike,
100%. 100%.
right?
Shout out Crypto Nate in the audience chiming in.
So
So when did
so
this
when I
happen?
posted this, I wanted to show like this women, these girls take off their hijab. Uh, they could get the same result as Masa Amini did, a punch to the head and then, internal bleeding and bye bye. And a lot of them
Right.
died. A lot of them died. A lot of them got shot. They got killed. They got stabbed. I don't know. All types of weird things are happening there. And right now, the fashion is they like to shoot them with shotgun pellets in face height, so they lose their eyesight.
Wow. That is
Yeah, man,
disgusting.
it's crazy.
That's
It is
and again
absolutely
the same tactics, in Israel and wherever, Pakistan and India and the EU and America, they're using these same tactics. This is how you know they're ultimately all on the same team. But I won't digress too much. Let me play this clip and then we'll talk.
sure.
The women of Iran are leading the first female-led revolution in the history of the world, redefining what bravery means. These women deserve to be named Time Magazine's People of the Year.
And this is not from 40 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. This is happening right now out there in these streets or whatever. You got women that are literally sacrificing their lives just to be heard, just to be able to live freely like most women in the world, quote unquote, live. I mean, as far as we can say what's free, you know. So we take a lot for granted from most of the places that we come from in these Twitter spaces, but this is what's really happening in places right now. you know, that should be free and should have the ability to move and act and think and go educate and become upwardly mobile, financially, and all of these things. You know what I'm saying? These are very simple concepts or whatever. Food, clothing, shelter. These are like the basic necessities of life. So the fact that, again, you have two things going on here, or multiple things. You have women that are fighting for the right just to be, equal, or just to have the same rights as men have had for fucking, since the beginning. And you have a more pressing issue where an entire country is on the precipice of not even being able to sustain themselves with regards to food, clothing, and shelter. And where are your governments? Where's your, all of these first days and UN, all of this other shit or whatever, while all of this is happening right now? So from my perspective, if one person's not sufficient in food, clothing, and shelter, or if one country is not sufficient in food, clothing, and shelter, then we all are responsible for that. If one country is in a position where they can't be upwardly mobile because countries like America are sanctioning them, which essentially means they're cock blocking all of their interfaces of interaction. So they can't do trade, they can't do banking, all of these things on a global level, which essentially makes you a fucking local fucking county or some shit like that, right? So this is what we're talking about. Now, this next clip that I will play also is from Parkway, and this one's from the 19th of November as well. Hold up, is that the same one? Yeah, my bad. Hold up. Here we go. So this one's from the 21st of November. It says, respecting your elders comes in handy when you get lost knowledge or new, in this case, for lots of people, yet it's possible. So I laughed when I saw this one. This one's hilarious, right? Um, Brockway, you want to talk about this before we play it?
This one was what was the concept of this one? So this guy asks him a question. So this guy goes out randomly asks people questions, and he was surprised that this old man actually had a conversation with him because most of the people
Yeah,
just walk by. And yeah, and then when he drops his question, he gets a pretty dope answer, and I thought it's a valuable lesson that we all could learn from.
yeah, no doubt. So we'll play a quick bit of this one real quick. This is just a bit of comic relief I thought I'd throw in here from all this heaviness that we're dealing with. Let me just rewind this.
Sir, how are you? Very, very sophisticated. The way from Europe is home. Whoa, that's an expensive place. It costs $10. I know. Sushi cost me more than 15 Australian in conversion. But the salary, the minimum salary is about $4,500. Right, US dollars. This franc is the same. And so that's 60,000 US a year. And what's tax over there? Yeah, 25, 28%. That's correct. Oh, yeah, so high taxes. 47%. We have good resources. But so does Switzerland. They have the same, but they don't pay so much taxes. How does the government afford to maintain infrastructure and keep things looking so hot? That's the burgeoning bureaucracy. They don't have that. Every 10 years, I think the government review how many jobs they have and really need. And if they don't, they go to the person. Really? Because they don't trust the government. Right. The right things with our money. I don't think anyone does that. You trust them to do certain things, but you watch them. The main industry there is still people putting their money in banks. No, banks is misleading. Banks only make 8% of the GDP. What's the biggest industry? Pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals. I keep hearing that Swiss banks, but they've got a lot of money, got to hide it in Switzerland. Pharmaceutical, I think we make 10% of the world's pharmaceuticals of the world. Wow, pharmaceuticals. What? Yes, yes. Yeah, beautiful place. Because when it was 9 million, shit. Then what did you do for work for your life? Yes. Does it get into food like people say? Are you worried about this? It's a false narrative, fake news.
All right, so I'm gonna come in on this real quick. Like I said, I just wanted to take a little bit of like comic relief, and there were so many important subjects that this old man, based on the question that was asked to him, that he spoke about so honestly, and I just found that refreshing and funny. You know that he just picked this random guy off the street, and he was
Mm.
so like versed about all of this, right? But one thing that stuck out of my head was the bureaucracy that he talked about. He was like, "Yo, we don't have all this bureaucracy." You know what I'm saying? He was like, every
Yeah.
whatever amount of time we go back and we kind of like do an assessment of what government, um, agencies that are required. If they're not required, we get rid of them. And then he said, we don't trust the government.
Yeah, man, that's very like, Switzerland is a very good country. I don't know if you ever been, but it's so
No, I've not.
there's
I've
also
not
a
been to.
saying. There's also a saying about Switzerland. They say Switzerland doesn't need an army because Switzerland is an army. And if you go and look at Switzerland, they really don't have an army. You just go to
Mm,
the army every year, you go a week or so till you're
yeah,
like 65, and then
yeah.
it's
And
done.
I think I heard that like I think whenever you're like 18 or something like that, every citizen you're required to have a freaking handgun or like arms and shit like that or whatever. So
Yeah,
like
they
my
all
point
take their.
is, no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, you're correct. They do take their weapons from the military to home. So they all are armed at home.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's a model. I'm not quite sure why you posted that, but to me that was like a 2-minute snippet of how to build a nation.
Oh,
like
for sure,
without
man.
all
The
of this
guy has
craziness.
wisdom. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. The guy has wisdom, and yeah, it's for sure shareable.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm just gonna. I got one more as far as like what's going on back home in Iran that I want you to comment on.
Okay.
So this one you posted on the 22nd. So this one's pretty
Yeah,
fresh
this
as
was a
well. It
while
says,
ago. Yeah, this
yeah,
was a
well,
while ago. I think it was about last month.
okay,
But I saw it again, and I'm like, you know what? It's worth the share because what they have done was just like it left a lot of people speechless with their mouth hanging wide open.
yeah,
So they're walking towards armed forces, which you can see in the video when the camera turns. They're standing there
yeah,
with AK-47s, shotguns, tasers, paintball with rubber bullets. They got like the whole shebang. They got bikes. These kids are screaming, "Shoot me!" because they have seen when this video was made till then, all these crazy deaths came out every night, right? The next day, or
right,
people dying in under custody, right? And all these terrible things that they're doing to them, talking like physical abuse, sexual and physical. And anyway, so they just keep walking towards them and saying, "Shoot!" Fortunately, there is no more footage or news about what happened here. But alone the gesture that the girls went first and then the guys started following shows just the braveness of women.
yeah. And to me, I think that's like the most unique part of all of this. Like these women are out in front. And also, again, this is like real life shit that's happening right now. This is just a couple months ago. These people are literally willing to risk everything to make their situations better for their
Yeah,
present and their future. So that's what you guys
it's
got to
been three
realize.
months now. And it's
Right.
been 3 months, like almost 3 months now, right? Like it's crazy, bro. It's every day. You gotta. This is not a protest. This is war. It passed a revolution. This is war. It's the people against the government, and they have a specific time. Well, after work is usually when shit hits the fan. So during daytime, the government tries to keep it as normal as possible. Business owners don't open up their business. Government affiliates do. So right there and then you can identify who is with the government and who is not.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, again, like, I mean, these are fascist tactics, and this has nothing to do with the fact that it's Iran. It has everything to do with these nation states, which are corporations, the nation states. All right, they are corporations. They all, like, how can I say? They all
Yeah,
work in unison. Okay, just like a
yeah,
franchise, just like all the McDonald's franchises and shit. Everywhere you go, there's a fucking McDonald's. The menu may be slightly fucking different, whatever, but they all have a protocol that they cannot walk outside of. And one main component of the protocol is you have to be fascistic towards your own people. You have to fucking show an iron fist whenever your people rise up just for their basic fucking rights. We're talking about food, clothing, shelter, the minimum shit. This is what you see going on now. So we're gonna watch this clip. And again, this is a little fuzzy or whatever, but you get the picture. Notice the women out in front, as Parkway was saying. All right, now I'm just saying, I cannot imagine. I mean, we saw what went down during George Floyd and that all that stuff like that. Nobody was standing out in front of the cops talking about shoot me. Okay. And I'm not disrespecting anything that happened over with George Floyd and the whole thing. We know that these motherfuckers are straight up Nazi when it comes to black people in America and in a lot of other places as well. But
hmm
again, you know, we have to consider what we just saw here. We saw women out in front, and we saw young people. What did you say the age range? What are the people who's out here on the front lines of this war? What was the age range?
16 to mid 20s. Like
16 to
you
mid
get
20s.
youngers too. You got like 12-year-olds, if they manage to skip home and be out in the street at night. But I mean, the dead bodies show up in the morning, right? Like it's yeah, it's insane. It's insane. They're young kids, man. They got dreams. They have visions. They have I mean, the thing is, it's so crazy, man. When these people die, videos of them surface when they were alive, when they were talking about what they want to be, or if they had a podcast, like things surface and it just touches you so much more. It's like, dude, it's not just somebody from your country that you love, but this was their character, and this character will never ever be around us again.
Yeah. And I mean, I can definitely. I mean, I'm not comparing at all, but I can definitely relate to losing comrades out in the streets because of fascistic movements of the governments that allow this shit to transpire. And it is like, I know a lot of times I just feel like, what the fuck, we have no recourse to what the hell is going on out here in these streets or whatever. But and that's why, as I've been, from a distance watching, you know, what you've been chronicling or whatever, and looking at other sources as well. I don't feel separate from that. I honestly don't. Which is the reason why I actually have you on here right now, because that hurts me. Like I don't feel like, when I see this footage, I don't feel like that's not me, and it couldn't happen to me. I understand that those are my brothers and sisters that are out there fighting for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Mhm.
this is what people don't understand. Just like, in Haiti, doing back during, like, these conquering times, the dumb diverses or whatever, when they came out and they decided that they were going to go slay all these melanated people all over the planet, except for, Europe, Western Europe. You had Haiti was the one shining light that stood up and fought these motherfuckers and won. All
So
right, that was fucking Haiti. Now that is an example that they never ever ever want to happen again. You know what I'm saying? I don't see Haiti as much connection as I have to Haiti. I have that same connection to Iran and anybody that's fighting this establishment. Because this shit is about color, but it's beyond that shit at the same time. Because any nation state that operates in this current ecosystem of global fucking fuckery, you have to be a part of the big team in order to play this game. And if you're part of the big team, then you're going to murder your own people. It's part of like that energy that, like, you people don't understand. This is a war for energy. All right. This is a war for the very spirits and souls of the people of the fucking planet. And we are all connected. Y'all motherfuckers saw the movie Avatar. Part two is just about to come out. You know what I'm saying? We are all connected through the fucking roots and through the fucking blood. So the longer we kind of hang out and become, like, hypnotized and, sedated by this bullshit that goes on in our everyday life, we're only making it worse for all of us globally. That's what I would say. Again, I don't expect everybody to, have the same um sobriety and understanding, about this situation as me, or, even Parkway, who, this is happening to, quote unquote, his people directly. But I do hope, that people fucking understand that, yo, this is a fucking war, and it's not isolated to particular shores or jurisdiction or something like that. It's the people versus the fascists. And anytime that we see that, we have to be able to come together and provide resources from all those different ways in order to fight against this shit. That's my perspective, for sure.
yeah, I mean, um, yeah. So here's the thing: the beauty of of North America or the Western world is you are allowed to do what you're doing right now, right? Without any repercussions. Like you don't have to worry about anything. You can come out and say whatever you want. In Iran, you can do that, but the next night, your door in the middle of the night at 5 a.m. will be broken in, and somebody will put a piece of cloth over your eyes and head, and off you go. Nobody knows where you're gonna be. Just for
Yeah, but
speaking
what?
up your mind. Just for just for the stuff you just said, you wouldn't last like 48 hours in Iran. If you come online and you say stuff like this, you won't last. They take care of you. Like it's insane. And that's something I'm trying to say. It's like so we do have that freedom in the West to come out and to speak. And yes, I agree with you. There are very things are wrong. A lot of things are wrong. A lot of things are wrong. But as you also mentioned earlier, you should appreciate what you have. Because I think you can still build on this. It takes different and it wouldn't require violence or it wouldn't require confrontation in general, right? It can be like handled differently, I think. But It's people like me and you, not these corporations that open up and ask for money and they spend like 90% on it on themselves and overhead and 10% goes to the cost, right? I'm talking about like people that really like then stand up and say, yo, this is what we have in mind. This is our vision. How can we get there? And I think this is the future that humanity needs to move towards. It's if it ain't broke, as bad or as fucked up as in Iran, you can save it and build on
Yeah,
top of it and make it a bit greater, make it better,
yeah,
right?
100%. I agree.
Because what we have in Iran, bro, I think the people are ready to lose everything because they have nothing left. They don't even have a life. They have nothing left. They don't have a peace of mind. They don't have peace when they sleep. They don't have peace when they pray. They don't have peace when they walk. They don't have peace when they eat. They don't have peace when they take, number one or number two in the toilet. There is not a moment where they like they don't have the feeling of security. And that's a very valuable thing to have. To know that, hey,
Yeah,
I can say whatever I want and nobody can touch me because we got rules.
mm,
Over there, bro, it's the wild, wild west. Like 43 years, it's crypto land over there, bro.
wow. Yeah, and again, um, this is not happening in isolation as well. Because we know the West like to run and save everybody and save all of these people from their evil rulers and all this shit like that. But they've it's not like they've allowed this shit to transpire in Iran. This is according to their agenda. They have a benefit in this nation being destabilized and shit like that. And the reason why I'm coming from the perspective and I'm trying to say to the West that what you see happening in Iran is not too far from our doorsteps. Whether you in Australia, America, UK, wherever you are, this shit is not far from our doorsteps, and we've already seen like sparks of this. You know, whenever the fascists showed their true face and shit like that. So that's why I say that this should affect all of us. We should all be concerned when we see governments brutalizing the fucking people because they simply want to be recognized as people.
Yeah.
In the case of the women in Iran, or they simply require food, clothing, and shelter, basic necessities. This is non-negotiable when we talk about food, clothing, and shelter. You know what I'm saying? Like, forget about the economics and
No,
all
bro,
this
it's
other
not
shit.
about food, clothing, and shelter. It's more like, don't tell me how to live my life type of deal. Don't tell me how to walk. Don't tell me how to dress my hair. Don't fucking tell me I got this, I got that. Especially the women. Like, oh, you got, what is it? Like, okay, you got your nails done, right? Like, oh, you come with us. You get punished. You gotta pay fees and all that shit. Like, bro, really? Like, I
Yeah, I got you.
remember, like, we were stopped for having T-shirts that had English writing on it. That was like back in the days. They opened up huge since then, right? I mean, but this is unacceptable what's happening. Like what they're doing is unacceptable.
So, what? Let's talk about some formulas for resolution. Like what's the pulse of like as far as like the grassroots. What are like the frameworks that are like kind of like frothing to the top that the masses grassroots are wanting to work with to get out of this situation, or what do you think, what do you see as the resolve as far as the progression out of this?
Bro, oh, again, I'm not a politician, man. I never was in politics. I'm so fucking new to this. Like it was literally yesterday. Right? It was a few months ago when this whole thing like literally caught me. Um, these people don't understand that the people of Iran understand Iran in a different way. Historically, looking at Iran, Iran was a land that allowed different cultures, different religions, all to live amongst each other in peace. That's why you have the most diverse collection of people in Iran. You got Kurds, you got Zahedanis, you got Arabs in the south, you got Russian, Iranian style in the up north. You got the Azaris, you got the Baluchis, you got so many different people. They got their own language, and they all speak Farsi, which is the uh, country's language. But they do have their own language too, right? And it's such a beautiful place, and for disregarding all its history and what Iranians stand for and doing what they have done, I have. They just need to disappear, bro. I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but they need to go. Like, I don't think anything less is accepted. I think the society wouldn't accept anything less. But that's just me. I wouldn't know. I think, like, I mean, the pictures speak for themselves, right? Why sugarcoat this? The pictures speak for themselves. The people have spoken, and that's pretty much where we at right now, right?
True that, indeed. Now, are you in direct communication with anybody back home with regards to what's going
Uh,
down?
yeah, here and there, you get messages, we're doing fine, or thanks for the support. I'm very trying to be, like, again, there's not much I can do except like being online and trying to put awareness out there. And thanks for picking up on it. Um, and yeah, I'm just trying to bring it to the attention of people, like, slowly. Like, it's interesting. I did a post about China, how a Chinese woman that's under COVID, I don't know what the hell is going on down there, but they still dealing with this crap there. And anyway, so she's like shouting towards these white dressed, I don't know if they're cops or medics. I have no idea what they are. So you got this weird looking dudes in suits, and she's standing there and shouting all by herself. And I'm like, yeah, she took a page of the, woman, life freedom page. Like, she's not taking it. And you could see the men all quiet.
Yep.
And this is where people forget that women are warriors. They're way more bigger of a warrior, I think, than men.
Yeah. Men may be better at building.
Yeah, we might have more power and shit, but yo, they got cojones, bro, as big as pineapples. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane.
Yeah. So I mean, I saw a clip from China as well a couple of weeks ago, same dealing with this COVID nonsense. So, for those of you who don't pay attention, um, it appears what's going on in China right now is they're in the fucking mode of forcibly removing families from the fucking cribs and reassigning them to concentration camps based on this COVID bullshit. Now, I saw this clip where it was a husband, wife, and this little child that appeared to be about between 6 and 8 years old, probably. All
Hmm.
right, you had like the whole like hazmat crew at the door. You know, they ready to come in and shut the whole place down and put some tape on the door and shit like that. And the father standing there with a butcher knife. He was speaking in fucking Mandarin, So I don't know what the fuck he was saying, but I knew exactly what he was saying. And I'm just gonna fucking, he's basically saying, yo, like, it's do or die, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I ain't taking this shit. Y'all motherfucker, I'm gonna die anyway where you motherfucking send me. So if you think you're gonna come into my crib and take my motherfucking family off to some fucking like concentration camp in the middle of the fucking forest, we all finna die right now, motherfucker. And no shit, like 5, 6 of them motherfuckers close the door and walk the fuck off. That's what I'm talking about. All right. This
Yeah,
is the
but you can be
spine that
reassured that they
motherfuckers in the
coming back.
West don't have. My bad. Go
But
ahead,
here's the
yo.
thing, though. Here's the thing, Black. These people, you just saw that video clip, right?
Mm,
And you go on by your day. That guy still lives there. They know his address. They know his door. They know exactly how it looks like. They know his apartment, how his apartment looks like. So, here, I think the biggest thing I took away from this life experience, what I'm going through, is that probably fear it kept humans in check for whatever purposes. And
yeah.
now people are
Since the
waking up. They're
Nephilim
like,
was roaming around, right?
yeah, the life is life, man. Like the amount of young people that I've seen dying of like videos, people being injured through gun, like, you know, military grade weapons. It's you come to a conclusion. You're like, dude, it's for the cause, man. Nothing else. It's if I don't do it, like if I don't do anything, I'm guilty for not doing anything. But if I do
Um,
something, at least I did something. I can look myself in the mirror and say, I fought for humanity. I did something for humanity. Even if I didn't fight, at least I did something to help.
yeah, you're 100%. And that's like one of the places where I know that we really, and we haven't, I mean, for the record, we haven't even, this is the most actually spoken to each other like the whole time that we've been following each other on social media or whatever, and we have tons of interests, like I know that for sure, you know. But
Hmm.
we've been said that we was going to link up, but and again, we both love antiquity and history and all of that stuff like that or whatever, but this right here, this is beyond any, this is right now, this blood that is spilling right now. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, like I love antiquity because it's kind of escapism, in a way and shit. Because it allows me to go to places, and learn about things that happened and stuff like that or whatever. But when I wake up and I realize what's going on this planet and shit like that, there's no escaping this shit. And
It's sad,
again, I just
man.
want
I
to,
mean, I just want to add this to our conversation. It's been
yeah,
recorded, right?
yeah, yeah,
So it's a timepiece. Awesome. So just imagine a world where humanity spends all this money instead of on wars on how to go to different planets and work as a unit.
mm,
Imagine such a world, man. Imagine
yeah.
such
No,
a world.
I do. And see, now we're getting into, like the nitty-gritty of all of this shit, right? As we talk about like the macrocosm. Um, from my perspective, and this is why, this and many other reasons stacked on top of each other is why I'm saying that this what's happening in Iran, what's happening in China, what's happening in America a couple election cycle or an election cycle ago, what's happening in India, what's happening in many nations in South America. This shit is concerning everyone who is actually a human and has a fucking soul. All right. We're coming to, from my humble perspective, we're coming to this critical juncture where the material and the abstract world, or the esoteric world, the spiritual world, are no longer able to coincide gracefully. All right. We are going to have to make a fucking choice as humanity. Are we going to continue to go along this path? If I got to get mine, let me stay over here in my little silo, my little bubble. And, that's terrible what's going on to, that's terrible what's happening to them Iranians. But, I got to, think about blah, 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 blah. All right. Those days are gone. Okay. All you motherfuckers claiming religion, spirituality, all this other bullshit that supposedly you believe in, none of that shit is based on materialism. None of it. All right? We're put here for one fucking reason, that's to ascend beyond anything else. So if your holy books ain't telling you that shit, then you in the wrong fucking game anyway. You already done. Okay? And the only way we are going to ascend is through unification. Period. We are humanity. We have souls. That's the shit that connects us. And everybody that's walking beside you, by the way, does not have a fucking soul. So let's understand that. But beyond any of this other bullshit, if you say that God is the king or whatever the fuck, Allah, whoever it is, all right, then you understand on some form of fashion that your key responsibility on this particular plane is to figure out the formula for ascension. In order to do that, you need to let go of all this material bullshit. We need food, clothing, and shelter, sunlight, all right, and a place to grow our motherfucking crops. And that's really the only thing that's required, in water and fresh air. Anything outside of that shit is bullshit. Period. So as we go back and forth about which crypto project is going to do this and that and how many X's and what's going on this fucking stock market and all this other bullshit and GDPs and all this other shit, this is their game. That has nothing to do with us. A lot of us has forgotten about this very fact and shit. So I'm gonna reel it back in and just fucking like dismount by saying this shit here. Y'all motherfuckers don't gotta listen to us. This shit is in the ether. This shit is resonating. And the fucking masses never change shit anyway. But if you give a fuck about life, if you give a fuck about humanity, and if you give a fuck about whatever you consider to be your God, then you need to fucking reconsider, like reshuffle the deck with regards to what you deem a priority in your fucking life. Because don't get this shit twisted. This shit is coming to your shores, to a theater near you, sooner than fucking later. Nobody's escaping this shit. And the longer we sit here in our hands and let this shit happen in Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, you know what I'm saying, Somalia, you know what I'm saying, all of these places where they're destroying melanated people, all right? You don't see these motherfuckers over in Europe fucking blowing up millions of motherfuckers per month and shit over their agenda. You don't see that shit happening. These are melanated people that are losing their fucking lives, the very core of this fucking planet. All right, we got the memory, we got the DNA. If we go, all y'all motherfuckers is going anyway. So I'm gonna reel that shit back in. I know I got a little bit excited, whatever, but Parkway, where you at with it, bro? What you got?
Um, yeah, I mean, I would say the following, man. I would say again, yeah, so culture, music, art, being creative, poems, positive stuff. Do more of those if you want to remain insane, right? Like, sorry, remain sane. Yeah, not insane, but remain sane and to understand where you're going through. Right? Like, there's also apparently this switch happening this year, and Nostradamus hit on that in his book. He's like, in 2023, everything will be vice versa.
And how do
So
you interpret that?
Oh, bro, I have no idea. I mean, he did mention in Asia, the superpower in Asia will fall. That could be doing this uprisings happening right now. I could see that connection. Um, Iran is another superpower. Always was, always will be. But yeah, they're gone. Uh, there's a change happening. Apparently, according to Nostradamus, in Russia, the leader will die next year. So I don't know, man. Let's see what happens. I mean, it's a book. The guy wrote it. He wasn't wrong about a lot of things, right? Like talked about 9/11. He said the twin brothers will fall down in the new city on the new continent or something in that matter. Um, yeah, man. Let's see. I mean, it's life. You don't know what life's gonna give you.
That is very, very fucking true. But we do know that there is turmoil definitely on the horizon before anything is close to getting to where we need it as a humanity in order to progress outside of this technology and this uh, these disagreeable frequencies. I would say that.
There's a frequency shift. So I'm more and more running into frequency stuff and levitation and how it heals cells and that the earth has its own frequency, right? So if there is magnetic switch and a frequency switch, that could change a lot of things. What it
Yeah,
will
well,
be, I
I
don't
think
know, but
I think that switch is happening. I don't think it may not be like an absolute abrupt moment and shit, but I do know that the frequencies or the resonance is definitely like increasing, and I feel like that we coming the magnetism is increasing, which cuts through all of the bullshit and like brings us closer to the source, like these transmissions that we need in order to ascend. And this is what I think this establishment, this global establishment, is fighting against. And this is, to me, I see, you know the old I see the microcosm and the macrocosm when I look at situations that's going on in Iran and other countries, including the United States as well. And I know that the end game is about energy accumulation and it's about frequency control. Right now, they're in the process of building out their global, open air, high tech electronic fucking prison and shit, where they want all of us to be enslaved and most of us to die. So, you know, I'm looking at it as like that, and I'm also looking at this indigenous component as well. And when I say indigenous, I mean anybody that has melanin in their motherfucking tone. That's what I'm talking about. And how our lives matter less. I don't give a fuck if you're Iranian, if you're Iraqi, if you're from Afghanistan, from any nation on the continent of Africa. If you're fucking Indian, you're fucking Burmese, Vietnamese, Colombian, what the fuck ever. Okay? Since June 19th, June 18th of 1452, all right, dumb diverses, the first of three fucking little fucking law fucking edicts that basically said they're gonna go out to all of these melanated lands and fucking perpetually enslave all of us. It's exactly what they fucking been doing. All right. So there's even a deeper undertone for me that makes me even more like, inclined to like stand with my people, no matter where they are, okay, on this fucking planet, understanding that we more than anybody else on this fucking planet, like they coming for us for whatever reason. I don't fucking know. But there's a reason why our lives seem to be worth less. Imagine if this shit was going on in goddamn Scotland. or fucking, you know what I'm saying, or Paris, or any other, a goddamn, Colorado, somewhere in Colorado or some shit. You think that the entire world would not be hearing about this shit right now? So again, there's levels to this shit, but for me, at the core of this shit is life in general, but these melanated lies that actually have the library of all existence in our fucking DNA, and we literally dropping like flies everywhere. And the war is not just like, the war takes different emanations as well, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's not just one little thing that they're doing to us. This is just like and something that's so just out in your face when you see women, young women, okay, not even 30 fucking years old, standing in front saying, shoot me, because they're so fucking tired of this fascist system.
Uh, yeah. I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, it's hard to explain it, man. Yeah. So the people have been through so much, and these are the kids of the people that grew up under this regime. So this kid's never seen anything before. They grew like they were born into this, and all they saw was this. And they look around the globe and they're like, "Yo, how is it that our country, where we invented human rights, we don't even have them? Why is that?" Right? And it's this awakening part where people wake up and they're like, "Yo, like this is not right. Nothing of this is right. It doesn't matter under what name it's being established. It's just not right." And misusing a religion's name for doing atrocious acts, it's even worse. Like
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
just imagine the Vatican doing stuff like this. Like
Yeah.
it's unthinkable. It's unthinkable, right? And
Yeah, so
hopefully,
this is what I'm saying. They'll sanction these melanated nation states. They'll sanction, the leaders that they control to murder their own fucking people, and they'll turn the other way. And which is what I see going on right now.
yeah, yeah, man. I don't know. It's just crazy times. To be honest, um it's hard for me to even think any different way about this. To be honest, I'm still, I think, under shock. Maybe I haven't digested it. Maybe I did a lot of it, but not really. I don't know. It's really hard, man. You look at everything, right? And everything makes sense and nothing makes sense. You're like, what's going on?
Yeah, man. I mean, like, I definitely don't envy your position, but I certainly like empathize and sympathize, and all of those adverbs and shit with what you're going through, bro. Like, like same with Palestinians. Same with anybody, any group on the planet. And this is not a color thing. Like, this is what I'm saying right now. Any group, anybody on the planet that's
But
being
here's the funny
mindlessly
thing, right?
murdered and manipulated and controlled for material gain and outcome, like I just can't stand for that, and that shit really fucking bothers me. So
Yeah.
maybe I'm an outlier or whatever the fuck, but like I see everybody that's for humanity. You're my people. That's what I'm saying. I just understand that there are bigger games being played. So you hear me talk this black, white, whatever shit. I'm not anti-white
No, but
people,
I
just
feel
like
you, man.
Kyrie is not
I appreciate
anti-fucking Jew. Go
No, I
ahead, yo. Go ahead.
appreciate the real talk, man. I appreciate the love and the real talk, man, for reals. Like here's the thing, man. There ain't no shame in this game, bro. Okay? It's like when blood is being spilled,
True.
things change, right? Like humans change, everything changes, bro. The entire it's like grounding. You know, it's when you take off your shoes and you walk, in that very instant, your molecules change. And it's the same thing that happens with stuff like this. It changes humans, it changes perspectives, it changes everything. And as a world community, we should take a huge page. I mean, here's the thing, man. How long did Hitler rule? How long did he do
Uh,
crazy stuff?
well, like about a fucking decade or some shit like that, give or
A
take.
decade? Okay. So this been going on since 43 years, bro. So I think this is even bigger than World War II, not like Hitler's shit. I
So
think
yeah,
this
that's
is
roughly.
gonna top that by far. And
I
I
think
think
it's
this
like
is something that people haven't realized yet, that this is one of the most biggest criminal activities ever done on humans. Like it's insane.
I think this is like so I think a generation is 80 years. So 43 years in, we're like 5 generations plus into this fascist regime, right? So,
Yeah.
like as you were saying, there's like fucking generations of people that only know this bullshit and they're tired of it. All right. And again, I'm in Australia right now. All right. Shout out to Blue Bomb, by the way, fellow Aussie.
Mhm.
Um, and I just saw something the other day, a news report where they're about to fucking mandate, like this shit ain't optional no more. They're about to mandate that everybody gets this motherfucking experimental fucking poison jab. All right. This is what's going
That's in
on. And
Australia.
again, there's a this is like degrees from whatever's going on in Iran right now, but I'm just giving a corresponding example of how this fucking fascism is incremental and this shit creeps up. Next thing you know, we're all fucking going and on being like how could you say shuffled into fucking train cars and shit that only go one way into the forest and shit. All right, this is what I'm talking about. So, you know, I hope that people understand that, as we talk about this particular issue, and we're kind of illustrating and we're giving color and vision to the shit that's actually going on in Iran. Put yourself in this fucking picture. All right. If you in America, if you in the UK, if you in fucking Australia, all right. I was over here when they're beating up old white ladies down in Melbourne, the cops. Okay, this was just last year and a half ago. All right, they don't give a shit about you. All right, no matter where you are on this fucking soil. If you just want to live your life, be free, have fresh drinking water, not have fucking poisons forced into your fucking bloodstream, then you are an enemy of every single nation state on the fucking planet. Maybe minus Switzerland. For real.
Yeah.
So not to belabor this point or whatever, but I just wanted to say from my perspective, bro, like I'm seeing you and I'm hearing you and I'm, right there with you, like
Appreciate it, brother.
with what's going on in Iran specifically right now, and just generally like your perspective on how your worldview. I really feel that shit. You know what I'm saying? And again, like I said, I mean, I'm not asking for nobody. I'm not begging nobody to come join us in some type of fucking crusade or whatever. But if you give a shit about humanity, then you need to pay attention. That's really all I'm saying. Pay attention, educate yourself, and make necessary adjustments to your lifestyle and your mind state in order that your fucking 5 generations from now, we're not having this conversation about Australia and places like America, which we deem to be so fucking free.
Yeah. I
So
mean, yeah. Yeah, everyone, like, you gotta look at your own situation and um figure things out, right? Like if that's nothing that you want to deal with, then it's scary, man. If things go upside down, it's not fun. It's not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah, and I guess to bring this shit back full circle, since we actually are only having this conversation because we met in on the blockchain essentially, as well as my fam Crypto Nate and Blue Bomb as well. I know all y'all brothers because I met y'all in one particular community on the blockchain that happens to have a social bend towards freedom and sovereignty and all of these things like that that people are dying and fighting for right now in Iran. So again, we're not separate from this shit. And if we are in fact the family that people like to claim whenever it's convenient, then motherfuckers need to step up and let's organize on some real shit that may seem insignificant now, but will definitely save a lot of fucking lives as we move forward. And there's many
I
ways to
mean,
achieve that goal.
the fact that our community is 150,000 strong, bro, we could pull signatures in like left and right for any petition or any movement that is needed. It would just require people like to fill something out like 2 minutes, right? But unfortunately, that's not there, man. Like it's wishful thinking. It's not there. Unfortunately, it's so sad. It's not there. And you know what? Hey, don't put a burden on people, on listeners, on your audience, because us, we understand that this is our war. We're gonna handle it, bro. This is our fight. This is our I see you after school at the back type of deal, right? So it's the people against these fucks. So yeah, man, the people will do what the people need to do in order for them to listen. And if they don't want to listen, then they're gonna listen a different way. And
And
yeah,
and
that being
we
said,
do need resources for sure, and so good thing that we are in crypto, but it's beyond the resources at this point because Kanye had resources, yo, and they fucking canceled his bank account and shut him down. He was a billionaire a couple of weeks ago. All right,
yeah,
so this shit is beyond resources, right? We need to be able to operate independent of this fascist system, which is supposed to be the core tenets of why crypto was even invented,
well,
right?
here's the
So
thing.
go
Here's
ahead.
the thing. Uh, I came across something very interesting. The guy was explaining that the future. So he was talking about lottery tickets and how you can, um, what do you call it? You can. I don't know. Here, let me explain it. Maybe you get it. So what he was trying to say is like when you fill out lottery numbers, don't try to match your numbers with tomorrow, but rather try to match tomorrow to your numbers, because that's the only way you can win. And he's not very off on that. Because if you think about it, if you can, because tomorrow is not written in stone. Tomorrow is not written in stone. No number is decided for tomorrow. It's not guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed, right? Remember? Nothing is guaranteed in life, correct? So he's saying that if you manage to connect to the future, which you are able to do, you can time travel with your thoughts. You can go into the future and say hello to yourself in 10 years. Nobody can say you didn't. Nobody can claim you didn't do it because nobody else can go into the future to that future that you went to.
True.
So therefore you did go into the future and you said hello to yourself 10 years ahead of time, right? And if you keep doing that, that 10 years, that becomes reality.
Yeah,
So
I
if
think
everybody,
this my bad. I was just gonna say like this comment that Blue Bomb just gave us, yo, that kind of encapsulate, like you got 7 billion people on the planet and possibly 7 billion different fucking perspectives and shit, right? So I guess if you look at that, on the microcosm and shit, it's like how the fuck can you organize anybody? But again, I'm just saying that, right? Like we all share a commonality and shit. At some point, well, this is what I'm saying. The majority never change shit, right? All they do is ensure the status quo continues to rumble down as a Goliath that it is and shit. But the more we begin to have these conversations amongst the few and begin to create frameworks and formulas in order to raise above like this current system, at some point, like I said to you, the line between the material world and the spiritual world, like they will no longer blur and they will no longer cross. I think in our lifetimes and shit, it's going to become more apparent that we have to let go of this material bullshit if we want to see our generations progress on this fucking planet. You know what I'm saying? I
No,
think as
because
I think.
because
Go ahead.
because let me correct you there before you continue. Because you gotta go with the old signs. The old sign is yin yang. That's the balance, right? So you will always have materialism existing because you need it in order to have it designed your way, or the way you see your future, or the future that it should be, right? Less materialistic, but yes, less is good, but you cannot eliminate it. As soon as one thing becomes pure, then it becomes evil. It always needs to counterbalance, always does.
Yeah, but I agree with the last statement that you said. But the counterbalance doesn't is not required to be material, right? You spoke about magnetism earlier. You were speaking about magnetism. Magnetism has nothing to do is so magnetism is about fusion. It's like the bringing together, the unifying of elemental forces, right? Electromagnetism is actually the opposite of that. So the electro gives you the material aspect. The magnetism is the spiritual aspect, but they don't need to coexist together. And fusion is the example of that, right? So this is what I'm saying. Like this is a complete paradigm shift, is what I'm literally referring to. We're like again, we don't like just give this example of like in the electromagnetic grid, right? We know that we don't need to be on a fucking electromagnetic grid. We don't need energy that when we stick our finger in the source of that energy, it can fucking kill us. This is like a allegory for like this fucking reality that we live when we already have like all the formulas and all the equation, all the patents for fusion technology, magnetism, all of these things with Tesla, Reich, and everybody, the Egyptians, the Sumerians, the Aztecs, everybody, the Indus Kush, all over the place. Like we've been had this technology and shit, right? That has nothing to do with an electromagnetic fucking grid, but here we are. So this is what I'm saying. Like we don't even need that shit. This is why I keep talking about materialism is the death of all of us. Thing that keeps us in our and keeps us separate to ourselves, even though we see the fucking world crumbling all around us. As long as we got our bank account, we got our 1.5 cribs and the dog and all vacations and all of this shit like that, then we don't give a
Mhm.
fuck. And I'm saying that shit has to go, yo. That shit has to die, literally, 100%.
Yeah, man. Step by step, like things come in time, and
Yeah, I agree with that.
yeah, things don't happen overnight. And I
Yeah, but
think,
I mean, we're in the blueprint stage right now. This is what I'm saying. We're just like, we're in the formulaic stage right now. You know what I'm saying? We gotta, create the formulas amongst the few and plant the seeds and germinate them, like season after season and reap what we sow type shit, right? So I agree with you. I mean, I don't think this shit is gonna happen tomorrow or overnight, but at the same time, I don't think that it's not going to happen tomorrow overnight. All options are open and shit because I understand like the only barrier in between me and this vision that we have been um painting for the past hour and a half and shit is my ability or inability to vision and imagine and to wield that fucking paintbrush and intricately, come up with the picture that I want to see and shit, and I know, and I also understand that, time is relative as well. Don't, I don't mean to get too fucking, flowery and shit like that or whatever, but I also understand that time really exists only linearly and I'm fucking forever. Right.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not really concerned about the time aspect per se, even though it is relevant because we are living, on multiple like, frameworks and shit or
Well, here's
dimensions,
the
so to
thing: you
speak.
got to differentiate between living. Living is electric, right? Like your body, your nerves, everything is electric. It's a electric factory, and you, you are you. The body, well, in different scriptures, they always say, "Oh, the body is the vessel that allows you to learn." Sometimes I come to my sense, and I'm like, "Okay, God, put more on my plate. It's not enough. I can take more." You know, and yeah, it's just like it's an experience, man. This whole thing is an experience. This whole life is an experience. When the experience is done, it's done, right? And then you go and travel and continue your journey.
But you still have the memory of those experiences, so it's never done. It's cyclical, right?
I don't know about memories, but I'm pretty sure you're going to take something with you. I don't know if they're going to be memories or behaviors or patterns or whatever, because I don't know what the other material, or I don't know who I am. Let's put it this way, right? Like I wouldn't know what type of material. I know crystals are able to hold way more gigabytes than a hard drive. Um, so if that's more advanced than a crystal, then yes, you would have tons of memories, man. You probably would remember everything, right? It's just a
Magnetism.
material. Yeah, we don't know what it is, right? But it's definitely like something way above beyond of what we can comprehend.
Well, yes and no, right? So when you talk about correspondence, which I consider to be a universal principle, meaning that it's immutable, right? It's immutable. I don't give a
Super
fuck.
immutable.
I don't give a fuck what you believe, what you don't believe. When's the last time you pray? If you don't pray at all, there's certain factors into this every single existence that are immutable. I think correspondence is one of those things. So correspondingly, I don't really need to know like exactly how I exist to like the intricate detail on all these other dimensions that I mentioned earlier. But it's very important for me to know and understand that I do exist everywhere, all at the same
Yeah,
time, and there's no
yeah, sure.
separation, right? And so there's just graduations of that particular foundational clarity and understanding that allows us, which I mentioned earlier, the entire reason that we're here on this shit is to ascend. These are the keys to ascension. These are the formulas to ascension. So, fortunately, unfortunately, some of us have the capability and responsibility in order to kind of merge these ingredients into a picture or paint the picture that's illustrates all it is, but can be understood in one, just like in one fucking like snap. You look at this shit and you have a certain understanding that you can't really put into words and shit, right? This is what
Mhm.
I'm saying about this new paradigm and a paradigm shift that has to occur in order that things that are happening in Iran and in many other places in these inner cities in America, all over the planet, like we are unnecessarily like giving blood back to the planet. You know what I'm saying? When the planet's not asking for it. It's been forced by the hands of these imposters and shit, right? So, now we're back on that again, but I do think that ascension is the key, and I do think in order to ascend, like ultimately, again, we're not talking about tomorrow, but this entire paradigm has to change. We cannot be concerned with the material world because we are not material motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the farthest from who we are. Everything our five senses is telling us that is real and true is absolutely the farthest from who we ultimately are. And again, well, let me put it in first person because I cannot speak for everybody. And it's only really true if you, as an individual, have this clarity and understanding for yourself. So I can just speak for me in first person that I understand, you know what I'm saying, my connection, and I understand why I exist and how I exist. And I know that there's no ending or beginning to this shit that I'm a part of, right? And I understand that I wasn't put here in order to stimulate and propagate my fucking five senses. These were mere fucking guides or like very rudimentary fucking parameters that we use in order to stumble around this fucking reality that we call life and shit. But we've used them because of the paradigm. We're using these five senses like they are the end all be all to why we exist on this fucking planet. And this is what I'm saying that has to change. And again, that shit is not gonna happen overnight. But the seeds that I'm fucking planting, this is what that shit is based in.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, it can be intense, but it doesn't need to be. Again, everybody's not going to take it like how me and you can take it, or Nate or Blue Bomb, or any other my brothers and sisters that I've met, like in these spaces or whatever, or that I know personally or whatever. These are not conversations that I'm having with motherfuckers like on a
Mhm.
daily basis, unless you're in my inner circle, right? So I get we talked about a lot of things today, but most importantly, just on a very simple, plain level, when people are losing their lives needlessly, and women,
It's not
young women,
needless. Here's a fun fact, though.
yeah,
At these, when these moms bury their children, they say my kid didn't die. My kid was a gift to Iran.
mm, yeah, that's beautiful.
So it's like there's so much more to it, like and it's like they got so many different sayings, right? Like this flower that fell apart didn't just fall apart. It wait a minute. Look at passion, man. Oh, so this flower that fell apart, um, did it for Iran, or somewhat in that sense. And yeah,
Yeah,
so they
that's deep.
consider their children as flowers that are being stepped on or destroyed.
That's deep.
Yeah, I mean Iran is a land of poetry, and it's very ancient, man. If you go like down a rabbit hole, you see like it's older than history likes to admit.
Yep. No, it's funny you're saying that now because I haven't even thought about this in like forever. But in high school, I hated like I was not interested in like literature and like all of these things and all of these poets and shit. It was one part of I was remotely interested in, but I really didn't read a lot like all the way through school as far as like what was I was supposed to read and shit. But this chick I dated when I was a senior in high school, her father had this book in his car, and it was Khalil Gibran, the Prophet. And I don't know what attracted me to actually read that book from cover to cover. That was probably the first book I ever read from cover to cover. But that one book set me off like on I would say to where I am now as far as like scholarly and all of the stuff like that. But it just really fucking just stimulated so many aspects of me. Because if you guys don't know about The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. He's a famous Iranian writer who to me is like next level, like esoteric, like spirituality and just like and reality. I think he's fucking amazing. But he just tells like, there's different types of prose and short poems and longer forms and just all of these things within this compilation. But it's fucking amazing and it's
What's
really
the name of
inspiring.
the book?
So I'm sorry,
What's the name of the book?
the Prophet
Oh, The Prophet.
Khalil,
And it's written by whom?
Khalil Gibran.
Jalil Gibran?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I never read it. I have no idea.
Oh wow. Yeah, I thought you would have. But yeah, man. Like if you're into next level writings, definitely check him out, bro. He's the top for
Oh, I'm
sure.
pretty sure, man. There's a lot of good stuff coming from Iran. Did you know that Iran and Korea have a proven, again, proven historical track record of 1,500 years?
No, but it doesn't surprise me. I did
Yeah,
not know that.
yeah. Hex is the way he's Korean, or no, sorry, he has a Korean wife or something, and
Right.
he deals like with the Korean community. Let's put it this way. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it just came across like on my feed, and I'm like, oh, cool, let me share it with him. Yeah, it shows that they found artifacts and paintings and in the history of the three kingdoms of South Korea or Korea, not South Korea, they didn't have South and North. It was just three
Yeah.
kingdoms in Korea.
Yeah.
They all adored the Iranian art back then. It was like huge.
Yeah, man.
Not the
That
cultural exchanges and stuff. Yeah, man, it's awesome, man. Like, life. Here's the thing: you create reality. You are a creator. So make sure that you create an awesome tomorrow for
100%.
generations.
And that's actually why I gave that little illustration earlier of the painting and making sure I got all the accents and intricacies because again I understand in real time the more I can materialize what is inside my head the more real it becomes. So that's why I say the only obstruction from me and whatever it is my imagination or my inability to imagine. you know Depends on which way you want to look at it. And this is what I get from what you just said about just making sure that you paint a picture, you know what I'm saying, that's going to be profound and it is exactly what you envision. You know what I'm saying? And the results will definitely be there.
Yeah,
And this
man.
is what and this is with everything, and I try not to talk in these overtones, like, if you do this, then that, or whatever, because it's never that simple, right? Like rebelling against your fucking government, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure those kids didn't just wake up one morning, you know what I'm saying, and decide that, they were gonna be fucking, quote unquote freedom fighters or rebels or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But like they just fucking had enough, yo. So, like the spirit moves people in certain ways that, we can't even imagine and shit. But like you can't tell these girls that were on the front line saying, shoot me, shoot me. You can tell me that they didn't have a very fucking clear vision, a clear picture of the outcome that they desired. And this is what I'm talking about. Is really that simple. And again,
In their
individually,
situation, I think I don't know,
go ahead.
man. It's hard to say what they were thinking during that moment. So I experienced this myself. You get to a point where you have nothing to lose,
Mm,
and it just comes out. It just comes out. It's not even under your control. It just comes out. Like I don't know, at least from my DNA type of DNA, that's the way it is.
Mm.
Like I had a similar incident. I was arrested in Iran in the year 2000 for drinking, and I was jailed, and then I was whipped. Just like back in the days, how they used to whip the slaves. Same scenario.
Yeah.
And anyway, so before I was imprisoned, I was having this argument with the guy. I'm like, dude, I'm wearing shorts. I'm like, I wasn't a disturbance. I'm here on vacation, right? Anyway, so I flip out, I punch the wall, and a soldier walks by, one of his guards, whatever, and he's like, comes in with his uh, G3 weapon. It's like a German-made assault rifle, and he holds it in front of him. He's like, talk proper to the whoever, like what, sergeant or whatever the fuck. And I was drunk, and I grabbed his rifle and I put it on my heart. I'm like, you got balls, shoot. And that was 22 years ago. 22 years ago, nobody was even thinking anywhere remotely to saying anything like this. Today,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's millions. And this proves to me that I'm not stupid. For the longest time, buddy, I thought I'm crazy.
You help permeate that. This is what I was talking about earlier. You plant them seeds, bro. And this is again a perfect example when I'm saying like this shit is beyond material, because like that energy that you put out in that defiant moment, clearly that was fucking planted and resonated and permeated, to what's
That was
going on right
22
now.
years ago. 22 years ago. Wow. Yeah, you learn
Mhm.
everything new sometimes, every day in life, right? Like you it just shows how impatient humans are, how instant, like instantly and that's like 22 years ago. I never thought in a million years that I'm going to see such a move from anyone, and it comes from women. It's insane. And yeah, could be, the way you put it, could be that that story went on. That guy told his friend, and his friend told his child. His child told his entire class.
Now I'm not even saying, even this is what I'm saying. I'm not even talking about like, like somebody verbally passed it on. I'm saying that shit was passed on through the ether, bro. You know
The
what I'm saying?
ether.
Like the memory of that moment, you know what I'm saying? It resonated, you know what I'm saying, with these people generations later and shit. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm
Yeah,
saying like us just simply having this conversation right now, yo. Like even if I didn't record this shit right now, this shit is forever in the ether, bro. They can't stop this. There's no
it's
way
like
they
the
can stop.
blockchain.
Say what now?
It's like the blockchain.
Yeah,
Except we
100%.
don't know how
Except
to
for
read it properly.
exactly, you know what I'm saying? Except for it's the ethereal blockchain, which they can't fucking touch, son. They can come fucking, we can get that knock on the door, both of us fucking right now, and we could be gone in 2 seconds, and this shit will live forever. This is the thing that people don't understand, how powerful we are and how powerful that energy actually is, more so than this five senses shit.
You inspired me today, man. That was very cool, man. Thanks for bringing this up.
Yeah, bro. Like, thanks for dropping through, man. Like, it's been a long time since we said we was actually going to link up, and we
Yeah,
actually
it's
did.
been a very long time trying to do this. But yeah, I'm super glad that you reached out and invited me to have this convo. It's definitely a stress reliever and definitely a motivational fact to know that amongst my Mexican brothers and sisters, in this case only brothers, I know Crypto Nate is in the house as well. And I met Crypto Nate, but what's other buddy's name? Blue Bum.
Yeah, Blue Bomb,
Yeah,
my Austin
never
brother.
had the pleasure. Yeah, awesome. And yeah, like super thankful, man. It definitely was a stress relief, and I hope this what we spoke about helps others to see and maybe get informed about things that they didn't know about, like the stuff that they heard. Yeah. And with that being said, I thank you for having me on the show. Is there any specific goodbye scene that I need to have, or is it just a simple goodbye?
I know, right? Well, yeah, just let me say real quick. I mean, really, that's really the most I really wanted to get out of this. I just felt like, I could feel it. I mean, I could literally feel what you just said, like the pressure, man, and just like it's sometimes good to just have a conversation, bro. You know what I'm saying? So if anything, I just hope that you would get that out of it, and the extra uh, points will be just people will kind of take in all that we've said. We said a lot over this past almost 2 hours, and
Yeah,
kind of apply it, to themselves and shit, so we can all be better. You know what I'm saying? That's really the only thing that I ask from this, for sure. But I do have up now anybody who wants to link up with the Parkway, either just to, show support or just to, stay updated on what's going on in his neck of the woods. Definitely go check him out on Twitter at Parkway Product 2, the number 2 on Twitter. Parkway, what other social media platforms are you
that's
on?
the only one I mean, if people dig a little bit, they will find me. But I don't want to expose myself that way, like dox myself, as we like to
Yeah,
put.
I got you. I got
It's fine. Again, I'm not like hiding, nor am I exposing myself. If people want to find me, they know how to find me.
you. Yeah, real
It just,
talk.
yeah. So it's super simple. The name says it all. If there's somebody who wants to say hello, you know, do your Google. I'm pretty sure it won't take you long.
That's what's up. So if you want to reach him directly, hop on Twitter,
Yeah,
Parkway
Twitter.
Productions. And again, if you guys need any fucking, I'm about to link up with Parkway. Actually, in the background, he's gonna do some intros for me as well. So again, arts, creativity, mathematics, science. This is
Poetry.
this is what we're here for, yo. With all the other bullshit really don't matter. Because at the end of the day, if we're sitting up in our White Castle with a bunch of zeros behind our name and we can't even go to our mailbox without, feeling under siege, then what good is any of that? Um, and with that, my bro, I thank you. I appreciate you. And we definitely will link up on some creative shit moving forward and immediately with these intros and stuff like that. And see you in the blockchain. Shout out to Crypto Nate, God, and shout out to my fellow Aussie brother Blue Bomb, who be all over the place. Thanks for tuning in, brothers, and thanks for giving your input. It's always appreciated, as you know. And we'll do this shit again, Parkway. Respect, my
Yeah,
bro.
appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.